Welcome back to the Ultimate Homeschool Community Podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Hernandez. Today we have another Tiffany with us, and she is from WonderHere. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, we're going to just call this the Tiffany Show today. So share a little bit about
Perfect.
your school, what you have. It's not really a school, it's microschool. So if you can just dive right in. You've been around the block for a little bit, so we'd love to hear your experience.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, I am one of the co-founders of WonderHere. My good friend Jessica and I started our school in 2016. So a minute ago, we've been longtime friends for, just for forever since college. But we were teaching in the same school and, just some of the same stories you hear of other teachers in the public school classroom,
Right.
just feeling disenchanted, I feel
Yeah.
like I bought into a lie. And the things that I was doing in our classroom were not things I believed in, did not believe were beneficial to children, um, and harmful even. And so, like when you go to the copy room or the library, any area where teachers gather or congregate, there's just this like disgruntled air and everyone complaining and, whatever. And so it's just like, Jess and I just did not want to be a part of that kind of a conversation. We wanted to be a part of a change. So we started dreaming and it was like, I we would be kind of crazy, but we could just quit and we could do something
Yeah.
different. We could make something different. How hard could it be? It's like the famous last words. How hard could it be?
Mm.
But that's like my tagline. Um, so yeah, we had no idea. There was no model before us. We had nothing to like go by, no blueprint. Because it's way before. It's much more trendy now, to leave your classroom and start a small school or co-op or something like that. But in 2016, it was very like no man's land. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we just decided we would try. Of course, we finished our school year. That was a December conversation. In December, we incorporated our company. We created a name. We weren't quite sure what we were going to do, but we knew we weren't going to do this. Um,
Yeah.
and in fact, we said we weren't going to be a school at all. We said a school was kind of a bad word. And so we put on our website, not a school, WonderHere, a learn and play studio, not a school. And so we're like, this is not a school. This is everything except a school. We're going to learn, we're going to have fun, we're going to play, and don't call it school. School's a bad word. And then we just grew. We started with just 7 kiddos doing fun enrichment classes in a little storefront in downtown. Um,
And where are
and then
you?
some of those kids didn't want to leave. We're in Florida, Central Florida.
Okay. Good
So
to
yeah,
know.
we're down in Lakeland in Central Florida.
Oh,
Yeah, and of
awesome.
course Florida has a. Oh, are you familiar with Lakeland?
Yes, I lived in Zephyr Hills.
Oh, yeah, then you are. Land of the water.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so we started in that downtown Lakeland in a little storefront next to the Polk Theater. And we thought it was very quaint. We loved it. It was a little bit, it's just under 2,000 square feet. Um, and we just did fun things. We did mad scientist class, cooking class, mommy and me classes. We just wanted to make learning fun. And so our primary audience were homeschooling families because we did a
Of
lot of
course.
little things. Um, and then we created after school programs because we wanted kids in public school to come after and remember that learning is fun. So we would do other things in the afternoon. Um, and then we had kids who just decided, like, could we stay? Could this become a private school? And we hadn't explored that option, but it really wasn't hard. We were just like, I don't know, how hard could it be? So we looked it up and it wasn't hard at all. So we decided to create a private school section of our company and continue to serve our homeschooling families and adjacent. So we grew to 20 kids that year. Next year, we just took over the next door space, grew to 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
And now we serve about, yeah. So then we started serving between 50 to 70 kids every day inside of that space. We had to hire teachers, grew a
Of
team,
course.
had to learn how to lead a team of teachers, which is a lot of learning. We are not business people. We were teachers. Let's just say, we're not business people. We're just teachers. But along the way, we had to learn how to become business people because that's who
Absolutely.
we became.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember one of our business advisors just saying to us, It's like, you got to quit saying that. You got to quit saying this is just a little thing. This is just a little wonder here. You're just teachers. Like, you got to quit talking like that. This is a big thing. It is a growing thing, and you're business women. And it's like, okay, we're business
Okay.
women. So we have to network like business women. We have to act like
Correct.
business women. We need to collect mentors and advisors who know business because we don't. And so we grew. We grew our, it was like we had to put on our big girl panties and figure out how to become business people. So we read a lot of books. We go to all the things. We have collected a lot of good mentors in finances and accounting and marketing just to become who we weren't before. And then allow our teachers to do the teacher thing and us to do the business work. Um, so we bought property. We own a 10-acre farm now in Lakeland. So we have our school in a big house. So just our schoolhouse. So it's like one room schoolhouse situation, but with 120 kids.
Wow.
um, yeah, we have. I mean, it's a big house, and then there's another house and a barn and outside space. So we see a ton of kids. We have a ton of fun. We have a big garden. We have animals. We have a nonprofit, so we do free events for our community. We service our. We had our foster families out from our community come explore our farm, do free field trips. We do field
Love
trips to
that.
publics where public schools come to us. All that we just get to do a ton to serve our community. So it's been a ton of fun, and we are a school, so we are legally a private school. We didn't want to be a school, but we grew into needing to be a school.
Yeah,
So we have
for legal
embraced it, and
purposes, yes. It
yeah,
just
we
makes
had to
it,
become a school a long
yeah,
time ago. Yeah,
especially
but
since
we
you're
just
owning a
decided
farm.
for sure, yeah, no. So we just decided we had to take back that term. School can be fun, it can be enjoyed. So there's some we have kids who've come to our school for so many years and have never attended a traditional school in their life.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
for them, school is joy. They've never
Yeah.
experienced any other kind. Yeah, that's a bit about what we do.
Oh, that's amazing, Tiffany. I really love all that you're talking about. It's, a dream that so many have. I've been working towards that as well here in Tennessee. And I agree when you're talking about becoming a businesswoman, teachers can learn anything because we're like the masters of learning. So, but we have to still encompass that when we start seeing, okay, I'm going to now operate this business. It's a business. I'm not just operating a classroom anymore. Um,
Yeah.
with how you've grown with your partner and adding teachers, because I know that you mentioned, I'm like hitting on these high level things that I think a lot of micro school founders are struggling or dealing with or coming into unknowingly when they come in to say, oh, I just
Yeah.
want to run my own class or my own thing and my enrichment. It's like, no, but this is all encompassing. You're going to have to eventually deal with this. When you're talking about coming into leading teachers and doing the business side, how did you transition from that mindset of being a teacher to now the business owner to now the leader of another team?
Yeah. It takes time, I mean, because we have been in business for 9 years. And so when Jessica and I started, we did everything. We were the janitor, the teacher, the
Yes.
nurse, the lunch lady, the after school person, the summer camp leader. We ran birthday parties because we're crazy. We just were doing everything. Yeah, everything.
Got to be
And
profitable.
it's yeah, we were able to sustain, but we were not sustained as people.
Yeah.
The business was sustained, we were paying bills, but we were not, it was non-sustainable for our family.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work for your family, it doesn't work, right?
No. Hmm.
So so when as we grew, we added on little by little. And honestly, we added a few teachers because we grew classrooms, and it was a disaster at the begin. Our first time that we hired teachers, it's kind of like like where you kind of like abdicate authority. And we had Jessica and I had babies at the exact same time that year, and we're like, okay, we were going to see you guys after maternity. We had babies at the beginning of the school year, and then we had hired a brand new team, and it was like a coup. They didn't want to do any of the philosophy we had planned out, all the new curriculum we'd ordered and prepared. They just didn't like it. I mean, it was just awful, and we were not as present as we should have been. So, you
Rightfully
hire
so.
people out of yeah. Yeah, yeah. You hire people out of necessity who aren't exactly caught on to your vision, and then you step away and you come back and you know, like what has happened to our vision and our culture. So that was a real rough time. But we had to
Mm,
learn, we had to take back authority, put, you know, reestablish culture, define boundaries. And we lost a few teachers because they couldn't apply. And that was okay.
that's
And then
okay.
you find your right, yeah, and you
Yes.
hire better. So we hired better the second time around. And then little by little, we created positions that put me out of a job. That was our goals. Like, you know,
Mm,
I am running everything in this school. I have to hire myself out of this role so that we can work on the business
yes.
and not in the business.
Yes.
Um, so we hired one to run our school. And then I hired, and I just recently, so it's 9 years, I just hired someone to take over all of the logistics of our school because I had someone who did our day-to-day operations. And so I did things like finances and billing and manage our teachers and all the overall like final admin kind of things. And I just hired my position to my sister-in-law who's been here as long as we've opened. And so she completely holds the mantle well. And so now I'm completely unnecessary in our Lakeland school, which is the goal. And now I can focus because we're opening new schools. Yeah.
Right.
So we're
Which
opening
is
new schools and training
so
new
exciting.
teachers, leaders. It is. So I get to do the bigger vision thing that I've been wanting to do, but it took time. And you know what
Yeah.
really took was systems. We created a huge
Absolutely.
binder of systems. Yes. We have a humongous binder of every single system that we ever need to do at our school. And so I trained her for months, almost 6 months, on how to use every system in our school that we've established over time. And then I meet with her by every week just to go over things again until she's completely solid. But she has got final say on that school. Um, and I have to step back and allow her to lead. So I don't go to school unless I'm visiting my kids in class. Um, and nobody comes to me for anything anymore. They come to her, which is beautiful. And so when I'm working away from the office, I go to a new office and I get to work on building other schools for other people.
That
So,
is so fun. But r let's remind everybody that it's taken you 9 years to get to this spot. 9 years,
yeah.
people. I think we
Yeah.
have some
Yes. It
pie in
didn't
the
happen
sky
right
ideas of how fast, we can go. I know there's some micro schools that have gotten like 20 kids the first year and they're scrambling because, 20 kids is a lot when you're just starting out and it's just you or whatever. But to get to the part that you've
away.
gotten to, it has taken you. You said it took you how many years before you even started adding teachers and really getting yourself out of that job?
Yeah, my first year, we only had 7 kids, so we worked everything, and then our second year, Jess and I still maintained, and we hired an assistant, and then our 3rd year, we doubled, and then we hired a few teachers, like 2 or 3, but now
Okay.
we have a staff of 20. You know,
Wow.
well, that's been 9 years of making. When we first started, we and for a long time, Jessica and I just this past year was the year we decided we were gonna be completely exit from the business in Lakeland so that we can build and grow. So this is our first year, our first school year where we are not working there.
And you're now really building more businesses to have the same
Yeah,
principal
we're
or
building
the
other
same.
schools and relocations.
And are these going to be schools that you own and operate,
Yes,
or are these schools, sorry, that somebody else can
yeah.
like say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. You're a sustainable model. How can I?" Is that how it works? How can people just join you or
Yes. So we've tried a different thing. I know that it's very trendy and very exciting to launch a bunch of schools and then like launch a bunch of people out into the world with your branding. But I don't believe that's sustainable. We have built a school that's taken a lot of time and we have refined a model that has taken years to get right. And I'm not just going to hand it over to people and then them ruin my name, our brand, and our
amen.
reputation. So
Yeah,
yeah. So we decided that
smart.
we would partner with people who are aligned in our vision And then we would train them over a series of months, and we would open and operate that location for them. And then they can buy in ownership when they are ready and have the funding and they're sustainable.
Okay.
But we want to launch it because what we also know is it costs money to open a building and to do it right. And we can do that because we've been in business for a while. And I don't want to hinder a really brilliant, excited, enthusiastic educator for doing that. We want to work with people to do that. We want to fund that, and then have them buy into taking over a part ownership of their location when their company's up and going. So we
Right.
want to. I think that that model has worked better for us. So we're opening a new location this year. Will be our next one. We have two. We have us in Anderson, South Carolina, and we're going to open in Davenport this year.
Awesome. And I think that that really works, especially for a lot of teachers that are just coming out of the classroom or are wanting to exit the classroom and they don't have savings, they don't have a business fund set up, and they really
Yeah.
technically still need their day job. So do they end up just like coming on as an employee or like part owner so they can
Mhm.
start making that income to eventually
Exactly.
take
We
over?
hire them on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we hire them on full time to open the location. So we open it with them. They help us to do location siting, because we don't live there. Then we train them. We train their staff. We hire them as a site director for a year or 2 years, depending on how long it takes. And then they have the option to continue to work as an employee or to buy in as an owner.
Okay. I love the model. I think that's I mean, so and I'm saying this because being in the micro school space, being in the launch space, because I also help, but I'm more on a smaller scale, helping with tutoring and helping with co-ops and helping with people wanting to open their own smaller program, right off the bat. But you've got the KaiPad, you've got the Prenda, you've got these places that are like, hey, we'll help you launch your own thing, but some of them don't really help you to get actually established. Yes, there's grants, yes, there's some funding available, but not everybody gets it. So if you're the one that's like really starting from scratch, it's a lot harder and it's going to take you a lot longer. You're going to have to go more of a workaround way instead of just getting it set up. So what you have is a great opportunity.
Yeah, no, we completely. Sorry, I'm getting my little friend that's coming in.
That's okay.
Here. Hi. What do you? Okay. Shh, sorry.
It's okay.
Um, yes. No, we and I'm familiar with all of those different models that are available. Um, and I don't know too much about them, but what I do know, you got to stay off the camera. But
It's okay.
um, but what I
She's more than
do
welcome.
know, hi, Sissy. What I do know is that it's hard to start. And
Yes.
it's already scary to start. And then it's expensive to start and to do it well. And so to be expected to open something with limited funding, and you have, and these companies that are kind of launching really big, really fast and opening all of these different locations, they don't have the bandwidth or capacity to support educators in the way that they need to keep them sustainable. Um, but
Yes.
we just want to make sure we mentor educators well, because we know what it takes. We know what it costs, emotionally, financially, and because we've been doing it for such a long time, and we've made a lot of mistakes, and so
Oh
we
yeah.
understand how to. Yeah, we want to help you to avoid those pitfalls. So I think for us, we're not interested in opening hundreds and hundreds of schools quick, quick, quick. We want to do one school at a time, one person at a time that we can mentor, lead, travel to them, work with them, locate their facility, help them hire. Like we want to be very hands-on because we want it to succeed. If they succeed, we succeed. Um, and so we need them to have our really big hands-on support. So we can't do that with 100 people, right? We can do that with
No.
a handful,
Oh yeah.
and a handful of people who are yeah, who believe in our vision and can carry it.
I think that's really important though, because you really understand what your vision is, who your target is, and you're not just taking anybody and everybody. This isn't like for the masses, but you're making that
Yeah.
impact one student at a time. But you're peeling back those onion layers to say, hey, yes, this is possible. Yes, we can impact on a larger scale, but we have to go slow to go fast. that's how that impact grows.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. They want to just like, throw something together and like, oh, I'll figure it out later. And it's, yes, there is a little bit of figuring out that you will have along the way because there is a lot of mistakes that will be made regardless. It's just inevitable with the learning curve.
Yeah.
But there is so much benefits to having a business mentor, to having somebody who knows what they're doing to help you launch. I've been working with a few clients. They have smaller schools. They're just now starting to grow. So I really start with them at the beginning phase. And, they're questioning
Yeah.
everything they do and they're questioning everything they have available to them or if they're going to make the wrong step. And we just have to say, listen, you've got to fail to succeed. And that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's okay to change your mind. We had a mom at our school yesterday, which I was so encouraged by. She runs, initially I think I was nervous to give. We love to partner with our parents, but like, those PTO like organizations that people do at school. I was like, oh, I don't know if we want one of those. I don't know if that's gonna be good or bad thing.
Yeah.
No, but we have
Yeah.
loved it. A parent, yeah, could be hit or miss.
Hmm.
But our parents have one and she does a great job. But we were having a meeting with her and she was just like, I wanted to tell you something I appreciate about WonderHere is that you are not afraid to make changes. Some people might find that like frustrating that things are constantly like evolving.
Yeah.
But to me, I just really appreciate that you're always innovating and improving, and that's a change, right? That you make. So we just have to continue to be flexible, but it's always changes that are made based on like the living, breathing data of our students and our families and the feedback and input of our teachers. So you're the people you're mentoring too, you're going to fail and you're going to change your mind. And that's okay, because you have the power to make an improvement.
Right.
We're not like a big public school, which requires an act of Congress to make any real change. The
Yes.
change begins and ends with you.
Right. Right. And that's the whole benefit of having a smaller operation is that you can make those changes that are necessary for your students as they grow. We have a lot of families that are
Yeah.
starting with one or two grades and then adding a grade every time that older class goes up a grade, which as they get older, your procedures, your systems are going to have to evolve with that student. So I'm glad that you've been able to incorporate that even on a larger scale because you have quite a large school going and operating is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it didn't start big, but it has grown. And yeah, I love that. We have changed too. We've grown as we've added classes as our kiddos have grown and siblings have come along. And it's just really fun to look at your needs. And I'd also recommend family or teachers or educators or anyone creating a small school, just really don't be afraid of feedback. We take surveys like it's going out of style. We take surveys with our parents. We do focus groups with our parents. We ask other parents in our school to lead them so you get real feedback. Because if we've done, when we host a focus group, they're not as honest. But when we
Yes.
step out of the room and I ask parents to do it, then that feedback is just so useful for us. And
Yeah,
then we take it back to our team, and you let that feedback help you to grow. Because even
absolutely.
sometimes feedback, I'll tell you, one year, man, all they wanted to talk about was cleanliness. And I was like, you guys, I swear we clean all the time. But they're just like, could it be a little cleaner in the classrooms? Like it's evidence that there's learning happening, but sure, we can make sure the kids are a little bit cleaner about their spaces and projects. But even if it's very critical, it all counts. It all can be used to help you grow.
I'm glad you brought that point up because a lot of us deal with that rejection issue, that rejection sensitivity, and that's just from being highly creative and, wanting to please everybody and make everybody happy. And that teacher side of us that's like, I want to have my students like learn and grow, but it also requires that critical feedback so that you can get better, so you can provide more. And we have to look at it as a learning point and not as it's a negative point. And that's sometimes really hard.
Yeah, I know. I remember early on as we would grow and we would make changes that were good for the whole, but maybe uncomfortable for a few. And so we would have big dramatic meetings with a few of our families that have been with us for a while. And then some of them would leave because they didn't appreciate the changes we would make of changing curriculum or changing schedule or changing teacher, or changing complete structure. So we would make these changes that fit the needs of most of our families. But of course, some people you can't make everyone happy. And
Yes.
I would sit in the closet and cry. I would, every time we'd lose a family that I felt was like our people, I would lose it because it feels so personal. You're creating such a personal thing that you want to
Yeah.
give to the world. And so you're just like, why don't you like me? Like
I
what
know.
we're doing. Um,
Because you
but you
grow
just,
a part of that
yeah, you just
community.
have to let it go. Yeah, yeah, you do. But you just grow a little bit tougher in skin, which is hard for teachers to do. And you just have to hold everyone with open hands, and everything is for a season. Um, and
Yes.
we just have to like kind of let them roll off. But yeah, because it happens. People walk away, people complain, people are not all going to buy in, but they're just not your people.
Right.
You'll find your people. We did.
Yes. That
Yeah.
gives everybody hope that, I know a lot of micro school founders are struggling to find students, or they're struggling out in the marketplace, or they're struggling, to figure out how to connect with their audience. How did you go? What was the best way for you to really capture those students that fit your vision?
Yeah. I think that is such a great question. In the beginning, we, I think we took anyone and everyone, right? You're just like, here's what we want to do. Our vision's a little unclear, but come one, come all. We're ready for you. We're going to build together. And we were highly influenced by our people. So anytime someone would complain, like, oh my gosh, everyone has the same complaint. Let's change it. Anytime one person had a suggestion, like everyone has that suggestion, let's change it. And so we were highly influenced because we were clinging tightly to the few that we had.
Mm,
And, because every student is money and, just worried. But then, um, we were when you know who you are and what you're giving to the world, exactly what you want to offer, then you can define the people who fit that vision. That's not everyone. Everyone can't fit your vision, and there's enough schools in the world to fit all the children. We can't be the solution for
yes.
everyone. We can be the solution for some people. um, so we had to define who our people were, who we were. And so on our website and in our documentation, as a team, we just had to write a list of what WonderHere is and what WonderHere is not, and our non-negotiables. And then we created a list of the ideal WonderHere family, who they are, what they do, what they don't do, what they believe in. And now
Hmm.
we screen for those things. So anyone calls, we go through a list to see, are you our people? Are you a good culture fit? We let you know straight up. WonderHere doesn't do this. And there's a lot of things we don't do. We don't do letter grades. We don't classify kids by grade level. We don't do report cards. We don't do homework. And so I just need you to know up front, we're not going to do a lot of these things. We don't care about grade level. We don't care about keeping up with that. But I can tell you all the beautiful, wonderful research-based things we do.
Yeah.
But if you want your kids to sit down, sit at a desk, take tests, be on grade level all the time, keep up with the Joneses, there's a school down the street for that. But we had to be really upfront with who we were and know and be really comfortable with that. And so we automatically get to weed people out until, if they make it through our application, they're already in the good, because our application's really long. And on purpose, because we ask really specific targeted questions that fit our culture, and they understand our belief system and what we do at school and what we believe about education. So if they get through all of that, all those hoops, then they're good.
I love that you brought in culture. When I do my 5-day launch challenge for my clients, that is one thing that we really focus on, because it's something that most haven't really thought about. They're just thinking, oh, I'm just going to go serve the community. It's like, no, you actually have to think about who that community member is, what they care about, what their
Yeah.
values are, what your values are, and if you can even be on the same page. So, this has been such a fun conversation. I already know we're going to be on next. You're going to have to come on for a second podcast so we can get a little bit more into the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty. Like, I've got questions about curriculum and daily schedules and different types of classroom management, all the things. But we're running out of time on this
Oh, I'm
podcast. So, where can people find you if they are either A, interested in joining your schools, right? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other B is if they want to open a Wonder here, where would they look for that?
Yeah. Well, they can check us out on social media just at WonderHere. Just WonderHere, all just one word. And they can email us at just info@wonderhere.com. And they can inquire about joining our school or if they're local to Florida, if they want to come check out our location on the farm. And they can see the one in South Carolina if they're closer to that one. But yeah, so social media or shoot us an email or website, and we'd love to connect.
Oh, awesome. And what would you say, do you have like one last piece of advice that you could give to either A, parents or B, micro school founders going after, this whole model of learning?
Yeah. I always just say, just start. I think people get stuck in planning and worried about funding and everything. I think you just start. We were teachers with a full-time, just full-time jobs when we decided we were going to start a school. And we made the decision in December and we were open that summer for summer camp in June. And so we had no money at the beginning of that decision. And we just, we figured it out, and then we collected some registration, some summer camp funds, and that was just enough to create a deposit, and we just let it keep rolling. So I think you just start. It's not as hard as you think it is. You just got to keep starting. You just got to take a step.
Perfect. I love that. I think that's, there's no time but the present.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a great time to start a school. You
Oh,
got
absolutely.
and get launched in August.
Yes. You have
Yeah,
enough time to get
yeah.
started by August for sure. Well, this has been a
Oh
pleasure.
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
will have all of your information in the show notes for them to check out. We will provide your links and your contact so they can get in touch with you. And we'll have to come on and have you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tiffany.
All right, everyone. Happy homeschooling. Thanks so much for joining me on the Ultimate Homeschool Community Podcast. Before you go, though, don't miss out. Check those show notes down below so you can get those exclusive freebies and helpful resources and some practical tips that we've been sharing to support your homeschool journey. If you found value in today's episode, which I'm sure you have, please, please, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, share it with another parent who needs it. The more reviews and comments that we get, the more parents we can reach with the support they need. And so your next step towards confident homeschooling is literally just a click away. Just check below. So just check out those notes and we'll see you next time.